Welcome to SVG-TV News for Wednesday, December 17th, 2014. I am Jennifer Richardson with the details. The 2015 estimates has been pushed back to tomorrow following news that the U.S. and Cuba are preparing to re-establish relations after 50 years of hostility. U.S. contractor Alan Gross, held by the Cuban government since 2009, was freed Wednesday as part of a landmark deal with Cuba that paves the way for a major overhaul in U.S. policy towards Cuba. According to White House officials, President Barack Obama spoke with the Cuban President Raul Castro Tuesday in a phone call that lasted about an hour. In a statement today, President Obama said the U.S. current approach to Cuba was outdated and that the moves to normalize diplomatic and economic ties were the most significant in U.S. policy towards Cuba. Just before announcing the suspension of Parliament until tomorrow, Prime Minister Gonsalves said today is one of great rejoicing.
I understand that the Holy Father Pope Francis had been important behind the scenes in urging this particular healing of the fracturing from 1961 onwards in our hemispheric family. I'm looking forward with great interest, God's willing, to the Summit of the Americas in Panama, to which the Panamanian government had already invited the Cuban president, and the entire Caribbean and Latin America supported this invitation. And I'm pretty sure that the Panamanian invitation would not have been made in the terms in which it was made unless there would have been some other kind of accommodations. And it would be wonderful for us to be at a meeting, a Summit of the Americas, and it's almost too good to believe it's true, to see the President of the United States and the President of Cuba sitting down in the hemispheric family like that. It would be yes, in alphabetical order. It's a day in which I would look forward to.
Opposition leader Arnhim Eustace also welcomed the news and says he looks forward to deeper relations between the U.S. and Cuba.
I believe that over time, you may find that you don't sit in alphabetical order anymore.
Meantime, in a TV address, Cuba's President Raul Castro said the changes were something Cuba had been pressing for a long time.
As Fidel promised, back in June of 2001, when he said they will return, they will have come back to our country, Gerardo, Ramon, and Antonio. This expression by President Obama deserves the respect and recognition by our people. I want to thank and recognize the support from the Vatican, and especially from Pope Francis. Support from the Vatican, and especially from Pope Francis, to the improvement of the relations between Cuba and the United States.
Meanwhile, on radio this afternoon, PM Gonsalves says the courageous and executive action taken by President Obama represents the beginning of the end of an anachronistic policy of confrontation and isolation rooted in the Cold War.
While President Obama cannot completely end the illegal and immoral American blockade of Cuba without the support of the American Congress, the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines is hopeful that his bold action will serve as an inspiration to those with the power to completely eliminate all remaining vestiges of the blockade. St. Vincent and the Grenadines has long maintained friendly and mutually respectful ties with Cuba and the United States. However, our government and I have been particularly strong critics of the blockade. Over the years in various international and regional fora, have lobbied strenuously for the normalization of relations between Cuba and the United States. The government of St. Vincent and Grenadines is heartened that its voice, in concert with the overwhelming weight of international opinion, has finally been heeded by the United States authorities.
He said the fractured and fractious relations between Cuba and the U.S. had been an undeniable impediment to hemispheric relations, regional integration, and multilateral diplomacy in the Americas.
The government of St. Vincent and Grenadines sees the rapprochement between Presidents Castro and Obama as a vital step to deepening regional ties. Further, as the largest and most populous island nation in the Caribbean, Cuba has the potential to spur economic growth and development across the region. The government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines recognizes that many sharp differences and divergent political perspectives remain between Cuba and the United States. However, we are confident that the maturity and courage exhibited by Presidents Obama and Castro epitomize the manner in which these differences can be aired and possibly resolved through normal diplomatic processes.
The present economic and fiscal situation does not allow for any salary increase in 2015 for public servants or the payment of end-of-year bonus. This was pointed out by Prime Minister Dr. Gonsalves to leaders of the various trade unions here during a recent meeting. A press release issued today by the Public Service Union on the outcome of the meeting states that the Prime Minister, however, gave the assurance of maintaining employment for all public servants, awarding of scholarships and other opportunities for young persons and some public officers, along with the continuation of public assistance to the elderly and indigent poor. At the meeting, the PSU says a proposal was put forward for compensation to public officers and teachers in the absence of salary increases for the years 2012 to 2014. The proposal is for the payment of 1 month's salary for public officers and teachers in grades K to H and half-month's salary to public officers and teachers in grades G to A. The PSU says the proposal took into consideration the increases of cost of living over the 3-year period and that they, along with the Teachers Union, will meet to finalize the document and have it submitted soonest. The Public Service Union also raised the issue of government's failure to negotiate the collective agreement previously submitted on behalf of public servants and says they were given the assurance by the Prime Minister and the Director General of Finance and Planning that this agreement will be negotiated early in 2015. Highly polemical and stylized is how Prime Minister Dr. Gonsalves describes the UN shadow report in which the government of SVG has been criticized for not providing adequate protection to women. The report, which was done by the University of Quebec, Montreal, International Clinic for the Defense of Human Rights, and the SVG Human Rights Association, criticizes the government's failure to properly collect data on domestic violence complaints, enacting legislations to deal with domestic violence, and to make its information accessible to the public, among other things. In Parliament today, Prime Minister Dr. Gonsalves said that his government is at the moment considering a number of the issues raised, which according to him are less polemical.
And some people who discuss these things don't read them, they read the headlines. It opens here. St. Vincent and the Grenadines Criminal Code criminalizes incest and rape. But the threshold for conviction is so high that these provisions remain ineffective. As a result, the state of SVG does not fulfill its obligation to ensure that laws against family violence, abuse, rape, and sexual assault offer adequate protection to all women. Now, any lawyer will tell you that this is a paragraph which has difficulty in passing muster. St. Vincent and Grenadines Criminal Code criminalizes incest and rape, but the threshold of conviction is so high that these provisions remain ineffective. So what we must do, the threshold for conviction is that the prosecution must prove its case beyond reasonable doubt. That is the golden thread that has run through criminal prosecutions from time immemorial.
Dr. Gonsalves further thanked the authors of the report and Senator Vinnet Frederick for drawing it to the House's attention, adding that he does not want it to appear as an issue which the government is not addressing.
An attempt to engage people in a manner to find solutions to problems which we have. The first document I want to refer to, I have read it already. I got it on the 3rd of December. St. Vincent and Grenadines National Gender-Based Violence Action Plan, developed by Halima Dishon, Dr. Halima Dishon, who is a product of the education revolution. And this is funded by the United Nations Entity for Gender Equality and the Empowerment of Women. And this plan is developed for the Gender Affairs Division of the Ministry of National Mobilization, Social Development, Family, Gender, and so forth. In fact, I've read it. I'm now going through it and studying it.
Over 4,000 local farmers have benefited in one way or another following the December 2013 Christmas Eve disaster. That's according to Minister of Agriculture Saboto Caesar in his response to a question by opposition member Roland Matthews in Parliament today. Caesar noted that over 500 farmers have benefited in terms of replacement of animals, while over 200 poultry farmers were assisted by the Food and Agriculture Organization. He added that farmers are still benefiting from the establishment of the Farmer Support Company.
Mr. Speaker, $6 million was provided to the Farmer Support Company, little short of $6 million, 5.7 thus far, at the extremely low interest rate of 2%. And Mr. Speaker, it was noted in this Parliament that when the Farmer Support Company was conceptualized in 2013, we did not know that there was going to be a flood in December of that year. That's correct. However, the floods came in December, and this government stood good to its promise that we were going to make the monies available. And when the monies were made available in March of 2014, what we saw, many of the farmers affected by the floods came forward and accessed the loans at the concessionary rate of 2%.
While he did not reveal a name, Minister Caesar said that he has heard a member of the House publicly telling persons who receive loans from the Farmer Support Company not to make their payments. This he calls irresponsible.
Mr. Speaker, it hurts me. That's why I'm raising it here, because I know that farmers are listening. I know that parents and pastors are listening, and I want us to get the message clearly. This government came up with a very creative idea. After 2 years of speaking to banks and other financial institutions in this country, asking the institutions to lower the interest rates for loans provided to farmers. Mr. Speaker, I spent many days, many nights, left my constituency, could have spent the time in the trenches, but was doing the work of the government. And at the end, after 2 years of discussions, corporates in Vincent and Grenadines, referring particularly to the bank, said, we cannot go below 10%. Our backs are against the wall. We have to help the farmer.
An unusually huge shark caught in Fisherman's net at Buckerment Bay today. More stories on the local scene when SVG-TV News continues. Stay with us. Welcome back. Officials at the Fisheries Division have confirmed that an unusual looking fish caught today at the Buckerment Bay beach is a basking shark. As news spread, residents in the Buckerment area rushed to the seaside to get a glimpse of what some described as the biggest fish they have ever seen. Fisherman Verrol told SVG-TV News he received a shock when he first saw the 25-foot shark caught in his net.
Well, yesterday about after 7, then a good friend of mine walked me, go and set the channel over the side. Over the red, so you have seen the morning. So where we had no friend kind of, you were pretty heavy. So the time we just kind of close, I look over. So when I look over, I see this tail. I don't see it must be tail first. And I say, well, he named Chubby. I said, Chubby, but it's like a shark. So when I pull up now, I come back look at it more. I look back behind the boat. I see this long, the whole body still there more for him. But I say, Chubby, but this ain't look like a shark. This look like something different. So he has some guys over there. When I'm just in the show now with a sailing boat. So we say, come, I can help me because this thing look real big. So I saw them come and help me. And so one man say like he's a whale, and they give a kind of different name, but he was whale maybe until we show him.
Okay, there are people saying that this is the biggest.
Yeah, come forever. It was the biggest they ever see across it. Well, I think it's unusual. I think.
Prime Minister Dr. Gonsalves has hailed and praised the book Entrepreneurs of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, written by Senator Luke Brown. At the launch last night at French's house, Dr. Gonsalves said the 20 entrepreneurs featured in the book had a sense of confidence which Vincentians must also have. He highlighted that when international agencies such as the World Bank sometimes give inaccurate analysis of the economy, it is important to remind them that small countries such as St. Vincent and the Grenadines have been sustainable through the years despite financial challenges.
But when they seek to give advice, which you know to be wrong, you make them know, gently and sometimes not so gently, that before the IMF and the World Bank came to us, we were a functioning civilization with hard-working people who helped to keep this country together. Founded in that belief. And all of these gentlemen and the ladies give you the sense of confidence to speak like that. Not only these persons, but others too.
Meanwhile, Brown said the publication of the book is a 3-part initiative to highlight the entrepreneurs of this country. He outlined that the other 2 phases were the publication of newspaper articles as well as painted portraits that now hang in the Sand Hill community. The Rhodes Scholar and graduate of the University of Oxford emphasized that entrepreneurs help to stimulate economic growth and should be given more credit.
Entrepreneurs in this country have made an immense contribution to our economic development, as the Prime Minister suggested in his speech. And very often they go unheralded. You know, there's very little recognition of the important role that they play, by the creation of jobs, the stimulation of economic growth, the innovation that they do. And I think if we raise the profile of entrepreneurship in this country, it will augur well for the further development of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And I think that this project has done so in 3 phases so far.
Chief Army Officer with the Salvation Army, Pierre Antoine, is appealing to the public to support their Christmas Kettle appeal. In an interview with SVG-TV, Major Antoine says his organization already gave out over 500 food parcels and that they will continue to offer assistance to the needy. He says the Kettle Appeal is the main source of fundraising for the organization and the public has until December 31st to contribute to the cause.
This morning we contributed approximately 500. Over 500, and we are still giving out. We are still giving out. So then this is why you see it is very important, and for us to, give, for us to make an appeal to every Vincentian to contribute, especially the business people in the city. Please, I am appealing to them to give to the Salvation Army, and I am sure they will do so.
The Dorsetshire Hill Lighten Up Committee last evening turned on their lights and is hoping that this year's presentation earns them the top position in the National Community Lighten Up competition. The theme of the presentation depicts the history of Dorsetshire Hill and is based on the book The Making of the Dorsetshire Hill Community, written by Vincentian Dr. Edgar Adams. Speaking at the event, Area Representative and Minister of Culture Cecil Sesmaki says that he's very proud to be representing a place of such history.
I'm confident that we are going to be in the #1 position again. I want to congratulate the guys for their vivid imaginations, for their expertise, for their talents. They do not just run lights, but they put up structures that depict certain things and run the lights to tell the story. This year is particularly special because what they did was to take the book written by Dr. Edgar Adams, The Making of the Dorsetshire Hill Community, and they have converted those ideas into reality with what is displayed here. So when the lights are turned on, you would see structures, you would see persons, you would see different infrastructural things within the Dorsetshire Hill community that will tell a big story.
Meanwhile, last year's champions of the community light-up competition, Point Village, also launched their festivities for the Christmas season. From flying planes to cars made of lights, the community was filled with cheers as the Bowman family presented gifts to the children and performed their parang tunes. A number of villagers also performed some of their favorite chorals and poetic pieces for the Yuletide season. Area Representative Montgomery Daniel commended the organizers for keeping the spirit of the season alive while embodying features in their presentation that were uniquely Vincentian. Deputy Chairperson of the 9 Mornings Committee, Lennox Bowman, said when the revival of 9 Mornings occurred in 1998, Point Village was always one of the communities that gave maximum participation. He said their progression to becoming champions was given life by the way the community had confidence in itself.
I remember coming through this area and seeing some lights around here, and I was absolutely blown away by what a little village could have done. Today we have grown. I don't even think that we understood at the time when we called ourselves Point Massive. I don't think we realized that we were actually going to become very massive indeed. Yes, today we are officially in Point, the champions of the lighting competition in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Here's a look at some of the festivities in Point Village last night.
That it's Christmas, it's Christmas for you.
We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
True Christian Christmas. Christmas isn't showy gift or glittering decoration. It is honoring our Savior Jesus Christ.
So everybody, come and join we, celebrating still.